Welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live and we are here to discuss, everything Arsenal. We're here to discuss the Chelsea match. We're going to do a little bit of a recap on that one. We're going to discuss the comments after that from the pundits and even the Chelsea manager. A little bit of England, a little bit of the preview for tomorrow's Carabao Cup game as well. And a few bits that have come to my attention this morning. I'm joined by Steve, Kate, and Jerome Marks. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I support Arsenal, sitting at the top of the league. How can I not be good? How can I not be good? I'm fantastic.
How you doing, Jerome?
Yeah, fine. All good. Cheers.
Good. All right. So we didn't dream it. This has been Arsenal's. Arsenal have actually won 6 of their last 7 against Chelsea. I think drawing one of them being an FA Cup semi-final victory as well, final victory. And we continued that reign of form last night, or on Sunday, in a 1-0 victory. As you saw, big game for Arsenal. Smashed it, absolutely dominated from start to finish. A few bits and bobs here, but Chelsea didn't even lay a glove on her. In fact, I don't even think Aaron Ramsdale had anything to do. Jerome, you wasn't there for the post-match. What was your thoughts on the game?
God. Well, obviously the result is amazing. To win at Stamford Bridge at any time is decent. It wasn't so long ago they went like years without losing a home game. I think under Mourinho, they went a long time. This quality, the performance was just top draw as well. The only time I felt a bit worried was when they got a corner, when they got a set piece. Really, other than that, like normal play, very very comfortable. Like even though they had like Sterling, Aubameyang, and Havertz as their front three, like they didn't threaten us once really. And I think that that was obviously our starting lineup, and they played. They just played so well.
Who's just stand out for you? Who's you most impressed with?
I don't even think there's a standout. Like, because if you pick one, you're doing like others a disservice. You could go through the whole team apart from the keeper because he had nothing to do. I guess special mention goes to Partey and Partey, Saliba, and Jesus, I suppose. The spine of the team. They were awesome. Yeah, and I love the scenes at the end.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, when you win at Chelsea's ground, you have to milk it. Do you know what I mean? You have to let their fans know that we've taken a scalp. The Chelsea players were feeling sick, and most importantly, look, people can turn around and tell me that it was a script. People can turn around and tell me that he didn't really want to do it. You can tell he didn't want to do it. Shut up. Yeah, I work on film sets. I worked on TV, on adverts, and if you don't want to do something, you don't do it. And that doesn't matter whether you're Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang or you're some extra down the road. It doesn't matter. If you don't want to do something on set, you don't do it. And if he didn't want to do it, he wouldn't have done it. But I tell you what, if he would have scored past us, he would have definitely let us know that he's back 100%. Steve, still on cloud 9. What's your feelings after the game? Any more thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, still on cloud 9. I mean, I think it shows you that Mikel Arteta done just staying on the Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang thing. I think it shows you that he did the right thing by letting him go or telling him that he had to go, because he's just not the same player anymore. I know he did well when he went to play for Barcelona and he scored goals, but for Chelsea the other day he was ordinary. So he wasn't even a problem. He didn't know he was on the pitch. But just going back to the game, just fantastic. I can't praise the guys week after week. They just turning out performance after performance. And what I'm seeing is it's not just the same old performance. It's different type of performances. It's, we can go out there and score 4 or 5 if we want. We can scrape a 1-0 if we want. We can come from behind if we want. We can literally do anything we like at this moment in time. And for me, I see that team sheet when it went up on the weekend, and for the first time, I looked down it from 1 to 11 and just thought, wow. I can imagine being another team in the tunnel, looking across at those players, and I think the old fear factor's back into that side because they're just running through that team. Ramsdale, just a colossus at the back. Ben White was again, I thought he was absolutely excellent. So underrated, and maybe we're going to a bit later on the stick he's getting, and from other pundits and how he shouldn't go to the World Cup. I've already said if you don't go World Cup, I'm supporting Wales, and I ain't joking either. I'm finished with England if you don't go. But excellent, mate. Through the midfield party, Xhaka better and better, and Jesus not scoring, but just an incredible performance again. And like Jerome said, you just can't fault any of them.
Yeah, no. So here's a couple of stats. Yeah, question time. Feel free to just answer it whenever you want. So, who won the most duels in the game against Chelsea? Aerial duels. Sorry, Jules. Who won the most duels?
Saliba?
No. It was actually Zinchenko.
Oh.
No.
Yes.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah, mate. How many times did Saliba win back possession in the game?
10.
12.
Close, very close. 13 times. 13 times he won back possession in the game.
I think we get a point each for that, Jerome. I think we get a point each.
You said 10. You said 10. How many times did Saliba get dribble past?
None.
0.
Very good. Both said none. Both said no.
I didn't say 1.
Chelsea completed. This is just a stat. Chelsea completed 258 passes against Arsenal. That is the lowest number of accurate passes in any single Premier League game since 2018-2019. It was absolutely played off the park. Played off the park.
Whoa.
Played off the park. I think there's one more. Is there one more?
I've got one for you.
Go on.
I had only 8 fewer touches than Aubameyang, and I was in a different country for the game. I was only 2,000 miles from the game, and I had 8 touches less than him.
Jerome's in Tel Aviv and he's had 8 less touches of the football than Emre Aubameyang. Wow.
Did you see that video? When he's doing the highlights? That video that's got going around. Pierre remember Aubameyang's highlights for the Chelsea game. Michael Jackson. He's got to watch it. It's hilarious. Yeah, I have to send it to you. It's brilliant.
I ain't seen it. But Gabriel didn't mince his words when he said nothing personal. London is red. That's the thing. Whenever someone throws something at Arsenal, like these ex-players or players that are currently playing against the one, if you say something against Arsenal, guarantee they are not forgetting it, and they will use that in the next game. They will use it. Do you think that Arsenal need any more motivation than that advert that Pierre Aubameyang done, saying it's not personal, I'm back and I'm blue? Mikel Arteta would have just pointed at that and they would have been riled up like no one's business. Did you see the celebration? It was like they swarmed around the Aubameyang. They just went, like, melted into nothing. Oh, it was a beautiful sight to see. It was a beautiful sight to see. So this is one I need to talk about. Gary Neville. He makes a shock Arsenal U-turn with a huge claim on the Premier League. In fact, it wasn't a U-turn. He said that Arsenal are prone to bottling it, and it's what he expects. And before that, he said that Arsenal need to prove themselves at the end of the season. Steve, what's your thoughts on Gary Neville's comments about Arsenal need to prove themselves?
When did he said this the weekend, did he?
He said it after the Chelsea win.
Yeah. I didn't know exactly. Well, I see a bit of his interview. Arsenal got to prove himself. I mean, what more have we got to do to prove himself? I mean, the guy comes out with that total absolute nonsense, using his pal's word, Mr. Roy Keane. Just week after week, he's done nothing but put Arsenal down, using the word bottlers, comparing us to Newcastle. The only time, look, Mr. Gary Neville, the only time, someone's bottled it is you, my friend, when you was in the tunnel at Ibra and you pissed your pants when Patrick Vieira came up to you, mate. Right, that's when you bottled it. But, I mean, look, we're not, I can't, I don't know if he's getting paid to say this just for it or not, because if he ain't, then I feel sorry for him. I mean, what more can we do? We've beaten Liverpool, we've beaten Spurs, we've beaten Chelsea away. We should have beaten Manchester United away, in my opinion. We're sitting at the top of the league after 13 games. Likeliness that we're going to be top of the league at Christmas when we come into the Christmas period. And I mean, bottle it. Did we bottle it at Leeds when we went and won the game? We got a point at Southampton. We should have lost, but I just feel he's just a washed up pundit these days now, because he's just coming out with just so much absolute crap that it's just getting a little bit annoying now, because he's the only one now who doesn't seem to be coming around to the fact that, I'm going to say it now, we're challenging. You have to say that now. You've got to say that. You have to say that we're challenging for the title, because it's at Christmas. And the worst way is we're only 1 point behind Wolves. But Gary Neville, everyone on TalkSport, Roy Keane, they're all saying that we're bottled it, and they want to see what it's like, and we've got the World Cup coming up, and we'll see what Arsenal like out of the World Cup. What happens if we got injuries? Look, that's the only thing with Arsenal. We've got to buy in January. We've still got to buy in January, in my opinion. But Gary Neville, just talks out of his backside, mate. He's done it since the season started. I remember watching the overlap where he was giving these predictions. He said we finished 7th. Well, where are we now?
Yeah, and for me, this is a bit why these pundits are a bit salty. And you'll notice that the ones like, obviously the Arsenal ones are not, but you'll notice that Micah Richards, Jamie Carragher, they're saying whatever they're saying with their chest, because they predicted it before. They said what Carragher said last season: watch out for Arsenal. Micah Richards has backed Arsenal many a times along the way, saying why, and especially when Arsenal get pelters, when people are doing exactly the same thing, and he's questioning why Arsenal get pelters and other people don't. It'd be interesting to see how the press react to Chelsea's back-to-back losses at with under Potter, because I can guarantee back-to-back losses at Arsenal, they get run through the mill. This is what Gary Neville had to say. He said, we have to question them. Arsenal fans come at me every week because I will continue to question them until I don't see a moment like here at Tottenham last season. They get through, and they get through those moments and finish second or finish third or top, which would be out of this world, because they haven't proven it. It's like a boxer who hasn't won a world title or a national title. You question them, but you cannot question. What you cannot question is that was a really good performance. So he's giving us credit for the performance. Before you see it, Arteta's obviously a coach who likes progressive football. He likes the idea of playing through the thirds, and that's great football. But the idea that he's willing to put the long throw in against Chelsea, I like it. Like, shut up, mate. You don't watch us enough, I swear. I think the team demonstrates a weakness. They lose away from home. They can see goals on set pieces. They don't come from behind. They're patterns of a team that haven't got any resilience, robustness, or toughness.
What?
I'm like...
He said this?
Yeah.
You're joking.
This is what he said. Like, Jerome...
I didn't know. I'm getting on Twitter after this. That fucking twat.
Pardon?
What's some of those comments?
Well, with Gary Neville, what we got to remember is he was playing at a time when Arsenal and United was the biggest rivalry going. So he's probably got a deep hatred of Arsenal that spans sort of over more than 20 years. So that's going to affect what he says. Also, Arsenal are a big threat to his beloved Man United. So he doesn't really want to give us any credit. The team at the moment is totally different to that team that struggled at the end of last season for so many different reasons, whether it be personnel, the age of the players, the striking department. Just there's so many different things, and I think he's come with a few things going. If we said something like recently about if Arteta, the ceiling is fourth for him, and then like he can't go much further. All these pundits, they keep contradicting themselves because they'll say, I bet none of them probably tipped us for top four. Like, obviously we haven't got it yet, but none of them tipped us for top four. And now they're probably having a go at us if we slip to second. So you basically, you can't win with these people. And if we do have, say, whatever happens at the end of the season, if it is super successful, we're not going to get praised from them. They'll be, oh yeah, they done well. Like, there won't be like big bit of praise. But let's be honest, if it weren't for us, the top of the Premier League would be boring at the moment. Man City just running away with it. All these pundits, they should be wanting us to do well because it's good for the Premier League. A bit like when Liverpool won it the other year. Like, you can't have City winning it 6 years in a row or 5 years in a row. Like, all these pundits, no matter what team they support, just for maybe even if they don't believe it, they should be sort of not cheering us on, but they should want it to be competitive. But unfortunately, there's plenty of biases about, and people just don't want to give us credit. But to be honest with you, I'd rather it be the way round, where they don't give us credit, but our team are bloody good, rather than them giving us credit and our team aren't that good.
It's the nonsense, isn't it, Jerome? It's the nonsense. Is like that's the problem that I have with it. It's watch football long enough now to know when someone's talking nonsense, whether it's an Arsenal fan, whether it's someone in the street, or whether it's a pundit or a professional player who's played for 20 years, right? We know if someone's talking nonsense. And this guy just talks total and utter nonsense. So what Kieran said is absolutely right. He can't have watched us play.
Yeah.
He can't have. He cannot have watched us play.
He's watched us on the games on the Sky and a BT.
But what's he talking about, Kiers? What's he talking about saying we've never come from behind?
Yeah, I know. What? That's not true.
What?
That's not true.
What? That's absolutely rubbish.
Yeah.
Six times this season, Kiers, we've had to play after Manchester City. Yeah, and gone and won. Right? That takes bottle. That takes a lot of bottle to do. And don't know, mate. It's the nonsense that really winds me up with these people.
What it is for me, is like if you can say that you think Arsenal, I need to see Arsenal at the latter end of the season to see where they have progressed, to see if they could be next season challenging for the title, to see but he's not saying that. That's not what he's saying. He's saying there's no toughness, there's no resilience, there's no this, there's no that. And he's going, they need to prove themselves at the end of the season. Everything that he says is tinged with bitterness and saltiness. Nothing he's done on you're giving Arsenal praise. You're not saying it in a way that's like, do you know what? Mikel Arteta has done really good things with this team. They've had a brilliant start to the season, but I need to see what they do at the end of the season. If he says that in that way, completely different. But he's not said it in that way. He's saying it like he's underplaying and underhand comments that he's dropping. That's what he's saying. It's not the issue is not necessarily saying he wants to see Arsenal and how Arsenal do to the end of the season. For me, the main issue is the tone that you're saying it at, and everything you're saying is basically putting down with what everything we've done. Oh no, they need to do this, they need to do that. They're not come from behind. But what I can say, it was a good performance today. It's been a good performance every week, mate. What planet have you been on? That's why I know you ain't watching us, because everyone else is swooning over Arsenal. Everyone else is watching Arsenal is going, cool, this team's the real deal. This team's got something about them. Because, this team, this full team is solid. Yes, we need to add depth to this team. Yes, if there's a few injuries, we could be in a bit of trouble. But at the moment, this team we've got right now is the real deal, and you can't deny that. You can't deny that. I said a while back, I'm not going to say anything until we get to the break at the World Cup, and if we get to the break at the World Cup, we're in a solid position. Then I'll start saying we're in a title challenge or we're in a title race. We're there. We're there. That was like 7 games ago. That was way before the Liverpool game. I was saying that we're way past that. We're at Wolves now. I remember when I was saying way back, if we can get something out of Liverpool, when I say something, I was talking about a draw maybe, and we can go unbeaten towards the end of the season. We've done that. Yeah, we dropped points against Southampton, but you're always going to drop points against some average team or some team that you shouldn't be dropping points against. Man City are doing it. Liverpool have done it in abundance this season. United are doing it. Chelsea are getting battered all over the gaff to the point that Newcastle are a team we've got to take seriously. So, yeah. I don't want to hear nothing about Arsenal and what we've got to do when Man United are sitting in 4th, 5th or 6th and they're losing to Aston Villa. Embarrassing. You've got Tottenham, which they don't know their arse from their elbow with Conte, whether they're going to he's going to be here, there or anywhere. He's got his eye firmly in Italy again. He don't want to be there. You've got Chelsea. They've brought in Graham Potter, the most progressive, one of the most exciting managers that's come from England in years, and they're going to turn him into an absolute melt. They're going to ruin him, absolute ruin in Chelsea, but that's typical Chelsea. They do it with their players, and now they're doing it with their managers. Any other up-and-coming manager, don't go Chelsea. You've got to be established to go Chelsea, because you've got to get the respect of the players, you've got to get the respect of the owner, and if you haven't got that, as soon as they falter, that's it, out the door. And he's going to take, it's Graham Potter, so he might not take that long to come back if he gets sacked from Chelsea, but it's a cross on his name. And this is a guy that took a team from obscurity in Sweden from the 4th division to the Europa League, mate. This guy's got the keys to the city in Stockholm. Like what? And Chelsea are going to ruin him. Don't talk about Arsenal if you're not going to go through every single one of them big clubs, the big clubs that we've been beating. Yeah, and rip them apart the same way you do with us. Yeah, that's my piece.
I don't think fans think like that. Do you? Fans of other teams? Because
I think there's an element of people that, again, were them people that were like Banter FC. You've got no bottle. You've got no leaders. Yeah, there's an element. They're going to stay in the Gary Neville side because
you always get that group, don't you?
You should do. And I want that group. We need that group. Otherwise, football would be boring. Could you imagine if everyone was all nice to each other? Oh, yeah, your team's great. Oh, yeah, your team. Boring. Yeah. I want rivalry. I want banter. I want you're telling me my team's this, you're telling me my team's this. We can have a beer and we can have a laugh. But within 90 minutes, we don't like each other. That's football.
Yeah. But I watch some very prominent podcasts, and those prominent podcasts from other clubs who I rate as, you know, the main big ones. When there's a conversation going on where something comes up in their comments, something about Arsenal, someone to have a little bit of banter or take a mickey. I'm hearing them and I'm watching them because I'm a regular watcher of them. I love all football. I watch all podcasts, whether it's Arsenal, Tottenham, Man United. But the ones I watch, they're turning around and they're saying, "Oi," they're not even mentioning in Arsenal in their brackets. They're saying to themselves, "Yeah, if you're a Tottenham one, yeah, we got to do this with Chelsea. We got to do this with Man City. With Man United. With Newcastle coming up. Same with the Top Man United podcast. They're saying the same things. Yeah, they're talking about teams around them. And if someone says Arsenal, they go, "Well, no, we're not there. We're not there. You know, don't forget Arsenal. They're on another level. You know." So sometimes other fans from other clubs are a good little thing to Liverpool. Sometimes we're a little bit scared to say that we're in a title race. Or I mean, I remember when the Invincibles were going on with like 4 games to go. I still thought we was going to lose the league. Everyone else was going to me. Everyone was going to me. "God, Steve, you've won the league. Shut up. You're going to win every game. You're not going to lose." I'm going, "Oh yeah, but what if? What if?" So yeah. And then you got Gary Devil coming up talking absolute nonsense about things like we ain't got no bottle. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, he's not watching us, and look, he's going to look silly because Arsenal. Look, Arsenal, even if they do get top 4, yes, they would have had to fall off an absolute cliff to drop down to top 4, but that was our target. And now we know next season we can seriously say, do you know what? We can actually challenge for the league. We should be talking ourselves as we can challenge for the league from the start of the season. Not like we've got to wait and see how good. We know that this team is capable of challenging for the league. Do you know what I mean? So that's the progression right there. We know that add a few more signs to this team. This is a team that will, from the start of the season, is in that conversation. And that's the progression we've made. It's not necessarily always about this season. Like I said, I'm enjoying every single last bit of it. I'm enjoying going at all the people that I remember talking rubbish about Arsenal. And the rest of you haven't come for yet. Don't worry, I've not forgotten you. I'll tick you off my list one by one. We can't have a pod without talking about this man here. His name, I call him Ben-Hur. His name is Benjamin White. And the question there, Jerome, should he be going to the World Cup? Now, whether Reece James is fit or not, we've seen what position, how Ben White's done at right back this season, and we know how good he is at centre back as well. Do you think that Ben White deserves to be on that plane to Qatar?
For England's defence, he should be the first name on the team sheet. The trouble is, I think Arteta has got such a way of playing in a certain style that Ben White coming into England's team will be a totally different way of playing. And I just think some players. This doesn't relate really to the question. Like, definitely he should go. He's been amazing this season. But some players look very good in certain teams and maybe not as good in others because of the system and the players they're with and that sort of stuff. And I think if Ben White plays as England's right back, I just don't think it will suit him as much as being Arsenal's right back, because he's like a lot of the players, to be honest, like a lot of international players. International football, could they keep chopping and changing different players the whole time? You can't get a settled team. And I think the successful teams internationally have had like settled teams, but because every 2 minutes a new player gets an England cap, you can't build a proper team. And so that's, I think, that might go against Ben White, perhaps. But as far as quality this season, oh yeah, he should definitely go. But I worry that if he does go, we won't see the best Ben White because I think he's just so suited to the football that we play, basically.
Steve, Ben White, silly question. Does Ben White go for you?
Yeah, all day, mate. Just not even it's just a no-brainer for me. I mean, you look at the other right backs who we've got. We've got Reece James, terribly unlucky with his injury. He's not going. We've got a poor form, this season. Terence Trent-Arnold, and for me, Ben White's a better defender than Trent-Arnold. Maybe not going forward, but certainly is a better defender than him. And Kyle Walker, who hasn't played hardly for the whole season. He's been injury, and we're talking about he's about 31, 32 now, isn't he? Kyle Walker. So there's no guarantee that he's gonna play well. So when you look at it like that, even as a right back, I'm looking at it that you could. I would be starting him at right back because I don't think there's been anybody better this season than Ben White. And for me, when you're picking a team for a World Cup, you pick the players that are on form. And for me, Kyle Walker, who's just come back, and Terence Trent-Arnold are not on form. Ben White is playing for Arsenal. He's sitting at the top of the league, and he's playing out of his skin. And most people, unless your name's Gary Neville, are praising him and saying that he should go. So there's no doubt that he should go. The second thing, right, we've got to think of, if you was Gareth Southgate, you'd have to think of his versatility because he's not just a right back. We've always known him as Ben White, the centre back. You've got to look at the centre back. Maybe John Stones will start. Okay, John Stones. But you're telling me that Harry Maguire and Eric Dyer gets in front of Ben White? You got to be having a joke. Eric Dyer ain't even going. If Eric Dyer's on that plane, he just can't. And Harry Maguire can't even get on the football pitch. So when you calculate that all together, Kears, right, it's an absolute no-brainer. And if he ain't in that squad on Thursday, I don't know. I don't know. It'll be an absolute disgrace, and I'll feel sorry for Ben. Arsenal fans are saying, I'm hearing them say things like, "Oh, it don't matter if Ben don't go, sod them. It'd be good for Arsenal." Yeah, maybe it'd be good for Arsenal in case he gets an injury, but it won't be good for Ben White because he deserves to be on that plane in Qatar because of his form this season and over the last couple of seasons, to be honest.
All right, Jerome, do you think he's going to get picked?
I think he might get picked because of the injuries. But I don't think he'll play if he does get picked because I think he loves Trippier, and I think Stones and Maguire is his centre back partnership. So yeah,
do you not think Trippier might play left back, Jerome?
I think he'll play. Yeah, he does like Trippier left back. I think he'll play Shaw left back.
So many fullbacks. He's got so many fullbacks. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Ben White is brilliant. He covers centre back and don't have to take another fullback if you take Ben White because he can play both positions. But Southgate's got his favourites, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has got his favourites, but his favourites are dropping like flies. So, look, Steve mentioned one other defender, John Stones. How have you not got John Stones and Ben White as your two centre-back pairing and worked with them for the last 6 months to a year? Because they are the two most talented centre-backs that this country's got.
Kieran,
and John White has spoken in that vein for the last, since he was at Everton, that this kid could play for any team in the world if his development continues. He had a bit of a stop and start, but now he's back at Man City to the point where was it last season before he kept out Laporte. It's madness how John Stones is not a regular for England. It's madness how Ben White's not in this team. other coaches around Europe will be looking at our team and think, you start Eric Dyer and Harry Maguire over Ben White and John Stones. Like that it won't register in their head what's going on. Like the fact that Rafael van der Vaart was laughing when Man United put in a £70 million pound bid for Harry Maguire. He said that the Netherlands players were laughing at Harry Maguire. The pundits were laughing at Harry Maguire. That's embarrassing. He's that bad because he's got no technique. He's a lump. He's a lump, and because he can kick a ball straight, because he's got a little bit of pace, because he's got a half decent pass, people go, nah, do you know what? He's a player as well. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's just a lump that can pass.
But Kears, I can ask you, mate. Really, I can't. I'm listening to you speak, and I'm listening to you talk about Harry Maguire. Could you really think there is an actual chance that he will pick Harry Maguire over Ben White?
Yeah.
Do you really think so?
I think he picked Harry Maguire in the last game to see how he does in and around the squad, most importantly, and playing. Now, playing wise, yellow card, not getting picked. No. But in the squad, 100% Harry Maguire's getting picked in that squad. 100%. Like, there's no two ways about it. Harry Maguire's on that plane. It's Eric Dyer that he needs to be looking at, and he rates Eric Dyer. He likes Eric Dyer.
Oh.
Tournament football. That's what he's thinking about. Eric Dyer helped him out in the last World Cup he was at. Tournament football. That's all he's going to be thinking about. This guy can take penalties. He's good in the air. You don't have to be a classy player in tournament football. You just got to be able to lump it out and be in the right place. Eric Dyer's going. Good evening, Tom. Nice to see you from over the pond. Hopefully you're pressing that like and subscribe button. Get your comments in. What's it say? Simon says, club over countries. Time to keep these players nicely wrapped up back. That's what Steve's saying. Steve's saying the opposite. He's saying, nah, because and I agree with Steve. Could you imagine the morale of these players if you've got to watch other players that you think that you should be in over playing a tournament, like the biggest, most prestigious tournament in the world? Like, we talk about Champions League, nah. Talk about Premier League, nah. We talk about country, World Cup. Every player dreams about playing for their country in the World Cup. They're not dreaming about Champions League football. They're dreaming about playing for their country in the World Cup. Not everyone gets to go to the World Cup. There's players that play in the Champions League that won't ever go to the World Cup. So, yeah, no, I just don't agree with that one. It's a nice sentiment for Arsenal players, like Arsenal fans, but I just don't think it would have worked that way. Like, you kicking the stuffing out of some players. Could you imagine if Jesus didn't go?
Someone hasn't, kids, have they? Someone hasn't, have they?
So, yeah. Are you surprised about Gabriel not going to Rome?
You know what? To be honest with you, I don't know the other Brazilian centre backs too well. I think there's one guy at Juventus. Is it Bremer? I think.
Bremer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm surprised he didn't go. I looked at the Brazilian defence and I said to myself, "Yeah, I can't look past them." Do you know what I mean? Marquinhos, Silva. No matter how people want to talk about Silva, they talk about Silva before he got to Chelsea.
38 he is. 38.
He's only got himself two contract extensions, and he's their best defender. Yeah. Like, he's absolutely smashed it. You're 100% taking Silva to the World Cup. Marquinhos, Paris Saint-Germain, you're taking him.
Yeah. The other guy, I think Militao, he's at Real Madrid.
Militao, in fact, Militao's pulled it out of the bag for the last 2 seasons. I think he was on the brink at Real Madrid under Zidane. Then Ancelotti comes in and he's their best defender.
Do you know what I think the difference is? I personally think Gabriel Magalhaes will be like us. He will look at the defenders in Brazil and go, I've been playing well for Arsenal, but yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. But Ben White won't get it. He'll look at that and think, well, you're telling me that they're better than me.
Yeah.
That's where the difference lies.
Also, it's experience as well. Gabby's what, 23, 24? He's just a little bit older. Marquinhos is a veteran, or getting to there. Silva, veteran. Milito, he's still a decent age, young, but again, been at Real Madrid for a good few years now. Bremer, 25, and he's actually done very well, to be fair to him, and in getting that move to Juventus in the first place. So yeah, look, Gabriel Magalhaes is a surprise that, like I said, didn't go in with the squad, but when you look at who they got in front of him, it's not like an England situation. Eric Dyer and Gary Maguire. Like, no, it's not even close to that.
I'm even nervous about Thursday to see that squad come up. So I'm nervous about it. It's like looking at the team sheet.
Might be a bit on tender hooks whether they go with their country. I mean, it's good to see the likes of Martinelli get the call up, Jesus get the call up.
Saliba will go, wouldn't he? I mean, that's
another
nailed on it.
Yeah, well, you hope so. You hope so, because that'll give him a massive boost. That again, and there's also with the contract situation, if there's any questions being asked whether going back to Arsenal would have been the right move, there's your answer there. Is Switzerland there? Xhaka would be nailed on anyway, but Switzerland at the World Cup, or did they get not? Yeah, I think they are. Yeah. Switzerland's a team that gets to the top of the group and does it there. Yeah. So he's nailed on to play there for Switzerland, isn't he? So Saka shouldn't be a problem. That's probably nailed on. I ain't got a problem with Saka. Yeah. Martinelli's going, which is great. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing Martinelli there. Ramsdale will obviously be there. Will he be one or two? That'd be an interesting one to see who starts out of Pickford and Ramsdale. See, I don't see Pickford being dropped. I see Ramsdale being a number two, and it's because I don't think Pickford's done anything wrong with England, and he's actually had probably one of his best seasons with Everton this last couple of seasons. He seems to have matured a little bit more. His kicking's not the best, but it's only been recently that I feel that Ramsdale's kicking's been back to what it was last season. Prior to that, he's been off, so he's not really had a leg to stand on when it comes to claiming that he's the better with footwork. And Pickford's pulled off some absolute worldies this season. So yeah, I just don't see him being dropped. But
there's not many of our players not going, is there?
No, but the fact that Ramsdale is in that squad is for me is a very good thing. A bit of experience which he can add, and it all adds up. And look, you never know if Arsenal win their first, if England win their first couple of games and they've got a 3-1 at the end, he might get the call up. If there's an injury, he's getting the call up because God forbid they stick Pope in goal. Like I like Pope, but he's not a top international level keeper. He's a shot stopper, and he ain't got the defence around him to just be a shot stopper. Newcastle was set up that way. So England just ain't. Harry Maguire on the recovery just non-existent. Eric Dyer on the recovery just non-existent because they don't foresee any sort of danger. It's here and there. Knock it out the park kind of defending. So yeah, not having any of that. Arsenal against Brighton tomorrow. It's time to see some of the fringe players. Our squad is so short, so small. It's pretty much the first team. It's going to be the Europa Cup team. Steve, who do you think Arsenal are going to start against Brighton, and do you think they should look to get this one over the line? They've only got Wolves next. Do you reckon they should start a stronger team, or what's your thoughts on this one?
Look, if Brighton go with a strong side, then we won't know their side from 2 hours before the kickoff. So yeah, if Brighton play a strong team, then which I think they might, then we're going to have to play a strong team as well. So I think we're going to have to go as strong as possible. So yeah, I mean it'll be, for me, be Ramsdale in goal, Ben White, Holding probably, and Gabriel and Kieran Tierney, who's been outstanding this season. In the middle, probably Lokonga and Xhaka. It'll probably Vieira. I'll give him another go. He seems to be, getting better as time goes on. I'd stick with Jesus up front because I want to see him get a goal. Would I play Reece Nelson or Saka? It's a tough one. Probably play Saka, and I'll probably play Martinelli. I'd go strong. I would go strong on this because we want to win a cup. It's important to win a cup.
All right, Jerome, who would you start?
I'm a bit different to Steve in this one. Everyone that started at the weekend, I want to see them either at home or behind the dugout in their jeans and woolly hats. To be totally honest, where we've got to this season, the Carabao Cup for me is so at the bottom of the list in terms of importance. Also, because there's a couple of Premier League games that we got to reschedule after Christmas. We got Man City at home to reschedule, and we got Everton to reschedule, and the Carabao Cup coinciding with Europa League, and there's like the semi-finals 2 legs. I just think it's too much for our squad, and as much as I want us to win, I wouldn't be too upset if we got knocked out of this one. I'll be fuming and devastated if he played any first team players and something happened to them and they couldn't start that team at Wolves, because Wolves isn't going to be a walk in the park. They've just got a new manager in. We've had a couple of tricky away games prior to the Chelsea game, and they got to pick up 3 points in that game. So I would rest a lot of them. I'd play all the second string. So it'd be a similar team to Steve, but I'd start with the second goalie. I'd have Cedric, Holding. I might play Gabriel because there's no one else. And Tierney. I'd have Lokonga, El Nene, and Vieira.
I think so. One good thing we've got about our defence, at least, we've got a lot of options. In that defence.
Yeah. And then I'd play Marquinhos, Nelson, and Nketiah. I wouldn't. Yeah, we've got to win at Wolves, because if we don't win at Wolves and we go into Christmas not top, then for me, forget it. They got to be top. They got to be top going into.
Fine markets. Drill sergeant. I love it.
They're my thoughts.
All right. No. It's fair. Look. We need to be making sure that we're going to get 3 points against all the teams that we should do this season. Although Wolves probably had a little bit of a pickup from the fact that they're getting a new manager in, but that's not until afterwards, isn't it? After the World Cup is coming in.
Oh, is he? I don't know.
Do you know what the most important thing I think at this moment in time? It's the 8th. We're at the 8th of November now. Now, whatever happens against Brighton on it's tomorrow night, isn't it? We're playing Brighton, isn't it? Tomorrow, and whatever happens against Wolves, whether we win, lose, draw, any of those games, for me, the most important thing now is to strengthen in January.
Yeah.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah.
Like, if we got beat by Brighton, we got beat by Wolves. So we got beat by Brighton, we're out the cup, worst ways. If we get beat by Wolves, we slip to second. We're going into Christmas a point behind Man City. Right? Then we come into the Christmas and the January. Right? The most important thing is we get that right-sided or that left-right-sided winger who can give Martinelli and Saka that rest, and another midfield player. That is, to me, that's more important than these next two games. That is paramount. We must do that. Please don't let's have another January like last year, where it absolutely destroyed us. We got injuries. and we ended up losing it by 1 point. For me, that's the most important thing.
Do you think they're taking that on board? What happened last season?
Mate, sorry, mate. They've got to, mate. They've got to. I'm hearing that they are. I'm hearing because of the position that we're in at this moment in time, that the board have spoken to Arteta and they've said, right, what do you need? We'll give you whatever you want. So Arteta, I've been told, wants 2 players, a midfield player and a winger that can play on the left and the right. And I generally think, we're going to get them. And I think we're going to spend big on those 2 players in January. And that's going to be our push, that Arteta will want for the title. Get those 2 players in. That could be the difference between finishing 1st, 2nd, or even 5th.
There's nothing there. Was that again? What's that noise?
What was that?
It sounded like you said something, and it went like you got a drum. You got someone ad-libbing.
Someone agreeing with me in the back. Yeah. And I tell you what. This guy, Mykhailo Mudryk. Whoa. If Jerome can do like a thing maybe next week or something on him or whatever, but I've watched a few clips. This guy is a beast of a winger. He is do you know what he is? He's like a better Sam Maximin. He's built like 6'2". He's got muscles like this. Oh,
but do you know he's also one of them players. So like this is not doing him injustice. He's one of them highlight reel players, but he's actually can back it for the full game as well because I've watched him a few games now. But he's one of them players that you see like the ball comes down with snow on it, and he's drop a skill, like unbelievable touch. You take him down the side of his leg and he just kills it dead. You're like, who is this kid? Yeah. And it's him. He's one of them special talents that comes out of the Ukraine or Russia or whatever every 10, 15, 20 years. And this kid is the real deal.
They wanted him in the summer. They couldn't get him in the summer because of the Champions League, and Shakhtar wouldn't let anybody go. But now they've dropped down to the Europa League. It's a different story.
As much money,
we're hearing the little things coming out the dressing rooms, aren't we? From players, quotes from the goalkeeper, of Shakhtar saying that we're joking with him about Arsenal, and he's already at Arsenal.
But that's surely got to be in the player's head as well a little bit. Like, he'd only be saying those things if he feels like something's been said from the player side.
We just keep fingers.
All right. So Jerome will be doing a player profile on Mykhailo Mudryk next week. Also on Ethan Nwaneri as well. He hit a brace in 9 minutes. As Arsenal drew with Manchester United 3-3, so we get an update on that. Balogun again has overtaken Messi in top goal scorer in the French league. He's got leaps and bounds he is this season so far, and apparently Austin Trusty is actually looking all right now. He's getting a lot better with Birmingham, and he's been playing since the start of the season. So it's really good to see that our loans are doing well. There's a few anomalies in that, as we know with Miguel Aziz has had to cut his short and he's back out at Ibiza, and Marcelo Flores, who is currently a very bit part player of Oviedo. Hopefully he comes back in January and comes back into the under 21s. While we're on transfers, Rio Ferdinand speaking. It's a lot of Man United fans, or a lot of Man United players speaking about Arsenal recently. Rio Ferdinand tells Arsenal to correct Nicolas Pepe mistake by signing free agent Wilfried Zaha. Jerome, what's your thoughts on that one from Rio Ferdinand?
Oh, God. Well, I think I do like Zaha, but I don't know if his attitude is something that would fit in with this group. Just from things that you hear and what people say about him, I could see Arteta getting very frustrated with him in terms of releasing the ball and whether he would be disciplined enough to play in this sort of system at Palace. He just sort of does what he wants, doesn't he? Obviously, the age as well is a little bit older, perhaps, than what we want. Was he pushing 30?
Yeah. He's just turned 29.
Yeah,
it seems like he's been playing forever.
Yeah,
6 games, 12 games, 6 goals this season in the Premier League. I think he's not having a bad season under Vieira, but it's that.
I think he's going to want to start every game, isn't he? I don't think he's a sort of player not a bit part, but he needs to play. I don't think he'd be for us. I'd be very surprised if we went for him. I know he's a big Arsenal fan, but I don't think we'll go for him.
I'm very surprised as well. Steve, what's your thoughts on Rio Ferdinand of his 2 pence worth?
No, I mean, I've never been someone who's sort of, championed their, come Wilfried Zaha to Arsenal. He's a very good player. I agree with Jerome. He has got a bit of an attitude. Free signing. Look, if he wants to come and sit on the bench and he's happy to sit on the bench, we'll take him. And he's happy with the wages that we get him. Fine, but he ain't starting. Yeah. He ain't starting by a long way. So, yeah, Mr. Ferdinand, if you want to go and give your mate a ring and say, come and you can sit on the bench and play in Europa League games and help us out and in League Cup and FA Cup, then yeah, we'll have you. You're half decent. You're 30 years old. You're not going to come and I don't think he can play the Arsenal style. He don't come across as me as someone who really works hard or plays that fast passing tackle. He seems to like it to be all about, not in a bad way. It's just his style. It's all about him. He gets the ball and then he wants to do his stuff. That's not what Arsenal are about. Arsenal's about working as a team. I don't know if he could do that. At Crystal Palace, they tend to sort of give it to Zaha and let him go and do what he can do. Where we're not like that. I think Crystal Palace will suit him. But look, if he wants to come as a free agent and come and earn so much money a week and help us out, then fine, yeah. Then we'll have him for experience. But even in saying that, it's his attitude. So you don't want bad eggs in the room. I think that one's long gone. And we definitely have Mudrak rather than him. That's for sure. All day long.
And the likelihood is Danilo, Yuri Tillemans. What's the likelihood of the midfield that they're looking at as well?
Yeah, they're looking at the midfield. I mean, the Arsenal they've had talks with Facundo Torres. We know that there's been talks with him. He's a young player playing in the MLS at the moment. He's a decent player, an Arteta type player. So there has been contact with him and the agent. The agent has confirmed that there has been contact and talk. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. The Yuri Tillemans one's going to be is interesting. Whether now the former Xhaka, playing in that same role, will put a little bit of a dampener on the Yuri Tillemans thing. It could do. Although they have been talking to Yuri Tillemans for a long while, whether he's someone now that they will go back in for, I'm not too sure. And again, just Danilo, very similar to Torres. There has been talks, and he's definitely one that Mikel Arteta wants. Had confirmation from a couple of people. So yeah, Danilo and Mudrak as well would be great in January. But I think the important thing is to get these three contracts signed of Saka, Saliba, and Martinelli. We all know Martinelli's already said pen to paper, just give me it, I'm done. So that's great. Saliba's the deal's on the table for William Saliba. So that's just waiting for him to come back and put his thumbs up. And Saka's taken its time. It's been rattling on for quite a while now, this Bukayo Saka talk. So, yeah, hopefully there's not too much going on there and that gets sorted.
Yeah, it did win his last one. He's one seemed like it took forever to get signed and announced. So, yeah, maybe it's just it's the same agent. So it doesn't surprise me. What does surprise me though is Arsenal not looking for an alternative to Xhaka. Like, how can you not be? Like, it strikes me as madness, dangerous. Why would you not bring in someone who could be another option for Xhaka? What if Xhaka gets injured? Like, if Xhaka's out, Xhaka's injury record over the last few seasons, he seems to have one layoff for about a month. Because he's that player that gets involved in those challenges. So he could get injured. And if you lose Xhaka in there, then you're having to drop an Odegaard and play Vieira. Is that the option? It doesn't make sense to me. I think while we're in a good place, like unless you are looking at Sambi as that number 8 option. But
no, I can't. I wouldn't have thought so. Who are you thinking of? Kears? Anybody? You thinking of someone?
No. I'm just surprised that Arsenal. I've not heard anything on Arsenal looking for another option because I just think like the fact that you've named him in the Carabao Cup game a week after he had to play in the Europa League game. Like, we're in the same situation again where we're overplaying these players. Okay, yes, these players are seasoned professionals and they should be able to play 40 full, but no player plays the Carabao Cup, the Premier League, and then in Europe, he's going to a World Cup. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, what Arsenal do with Partey, where they in general, they will opt to not play him if they don't have to. Now, I'm not saying you've got to do that with Xhaka, but there has to be an element of, okay, we're going to take him out the game today. Man City take Haaland out and then bring him in at the end if they need him. Like, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that with Partey and Xhaka because we can't afford to. We need to.
Tillemans would be that. Tillemans would be that replacement, wouldn't he? Tillemans would be the guy.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Off the top of your head, yeah. And those players should be looking at this team now, and that includes if Zaha. Look, I don't want Zaha. I don't. I think that boat's passed. That ship sailed. But if Zaha was going to come to the team, he would need to come into this team and know full well that he ain't a starter. He's biding his time with this team, and I think he would because we ain't Crystal Palace, and the same goes for what's his name? Like, we ain't them. So, and I think these players need to understand that if they are coming to our club, like we're not Leicester. We're not Leicester, mate. And you were sitting on the bench at Leicester sometimes. So you'd come into Arsenal and you'd have to bide your time and win your place for Arsenal and hold down your shirt. So, yeah, it just surprised me there's no option for that number 8 because Sambi, although there is a drop-off from Partey, I still think he does a job. We've got El Neni in there. Why are we looking at a defensive midfielder? Like, that for me is covered for the season. If you're talking about a position, if we were to lose, and the way they've been playing this season, if you lose a Granit Xhaka, then and that seems mad to hear, but your drop off is nowhere near close. The drop off from Partey to El Neni, then El Neni to Lokonga, it's a golfing quality, but we're not talking about night and day. We're not talking about we're falling off a cliff like we're in trouble. Like we've seen El Neni can come in and do a job for a certain amount of games. You don't want to rely on him for the full season because you're limiting the quality of the team. But he can do a job for 3 or 4 games. Like, who's doing a job if Granit Xhaka gets injured in at number 8? And I think Arsenal need to be thinking about that. So yeah. Anyway, that is all we have time for. Quickly, give us your score prediction of tomorrow's game, Steve. I'm gonna lip read, and Steve said 2-0 Arsenal. 2-0 to the Arsenal. Jerome, what's your score prediction?
I'll go an Arsenal win on penalties.
All right, going for an Arsenal win on penalties. Well, I will be at the game tomorrow, so hopefully I'll bring Arsenal some luck, and we get through to the next round of the Carabao Cup and continue this momentum for the season. Thank you for everyone that has joined us tonight. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Desma. I think there was someone else in there. I didn't see who you was. Appreciate your support. Press that like and subscribe button. Get in the comment section afterwards if you have something to say. Thank you for joining us tonight, Steve. He's going to do some sign language. Here we go. He said, thank you for joining us tonight, people. It's been great. An absolute pleasure, as always. Thank you for joining us tonight, Jerome.
Yeah, cool. Cheers. Thanks.
All right. Peace out, people. Stay safe. Here we go. And wash your hands.